Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to create our first bot together using Smartly's platform. There are two ways to do this. The first way is to model a conversational tree via our graphical interface. The second is to upload an Excel file containing your user's questions and the chatbot's answers. Let's start with the graphical way. To get started, log into Smartly.ai. You arrive directly on the Home section. Create your bot by clicking on Create a Bot. Then you will have the choice between creating a chatbot or a voice bot. Let's focus on the chatbot today. Choose a name for your bot and select the language in which you want to create your bot. You finally end up on the graphical design interface. This area can be zoomed in, zoomed out, using the magnifying glasses at the top right, or even by using the wheel of your mouse. In the bar at the top, you have 4 items. The User Says object allows you to create the intents of the bot. These are the user sentences that the bot should be able to understand. The Bot Says object allows you to configure the bot's simple responses. If you want the bot's responses to include buttons, carousels, or any clickable elements, you will need to use the Bot Shows object. Finally, the Bot Does object allows you to code responses for the bot in JavaScript. All these objects can be moved around in the graphics area very easily using drag and drop, just like this. Now it's time to create your first bot. To get started, let's try to create a bot that can help you order a meal. Let's start by establishing the bot's welcome message. Just click on the Welcome State object and fill in the messages of your choice. For this example, I will write, "Welcome, I'm EatBot." Then, all you have to do is click on Save. I will now create the user sentences that the chatbot will have to understand. To do this, I move the User Says object onto the graphics area. I double-click on it. I now create my intents by clicking on Create. Then you have to give the intent a name. For example, I can call it Order a Meal. Then, I enter the intents sentences. For example, I want to order a meal, or I want to eat, and etc. To validate, I click on Save. Once the intent is created, we have to determine the bot's response. To do that, I move the object Bots Say onto Design area. I double-click on it and name the object. For example, Answer Test. Then, I write the bot's response just here. For example, what kind of food would you like to order? Of course, don't forget to save. And the last step is to connect the intent to the bot's response. At this point, your bot will not work yet. Indeed, you need at least 2 intents to make a bot work. I will therefore add a second intent with its answer. I create a second intent to allow the bot to respond to the phrase hello. And I also add a response. Once you have created your 2 intents and the associated responses, you now need to train the bot. This step consists of creating a calculation model for understanding the bot's requests. You will need to start a training session each time an intent is modified. To start a training session, you just have to click on the Train button at the top right and wait for the ending message. Once the training is finished, I can now test my bot. To do this, I just have to go to the simulator at the bottom left. I simulate a request, like, I want to eat. The bot answers me with the response I had set up. You finally know how to create a bot with a question and a simple answer. You will now see how to add complex responses to the bot. For example, suppose you want the bot to display buttons, images, or even a video as a response. To do this, you will need to use the bot shows object. You just need to drag this object into the design area. You connect it to the bot says object you created earlier, and delete what you put in the bot says object. You double-click on the bot shows object. You can choose between 6 different types of responses. Text card allows you to configure a simple text response. With quick reply, you can add quick reply buttons. Button card is used to add buttons that can integrate a URL or allow the launch of a phone call. Image card allows you to display images. Video card will allow you to integrate a video in response. Carousel card allows you to set up a carousel as a response. I will now show you how to create a quick reply. I start by writing the question that the bot will ask me. For example, what kind of food would you like to order? Then I click on Add Quick Reply to create the answers. I first enter the text that will appear on my button. For example, Japanese food. You must also enter a message that will define the route that will be triggered when the user clicks on the button. For this button text, I will type Japanese food. I will now test my button. I go to the simulator and enter, I want to order a meal. The bot understands the request and shows me the Japanese food button. Now if I click on Japanese food, nothing will happen because I didn't plug it into the rest of the tree. So I'm going to create a new intent and response to handle the phrase, I want to eat Japanese food. I create the intent first, then the response. As a response, I can put, perfect, you want to eat Japanese food. What is your favorite Japanese meal? And I start the training. Now I repeat my test in the simulator. I type, I want to order a meal. The bot replies. Then I click on Japanese food. The bot displays the correct answer. We will now introduce the notion of entity. An entity is a library of terms that you want to capture in the user's sentences. Let's imagine that the user replies with sushi or maki to the question, what is your favorite Japanese meal? You want to collect this information to reuse it to launch an action. To do that, you need to create a Japanese dishes entity that you will integrate into an intent. I start by creating the intent, which I will call Japanese dishes. I click on Create Entity. I will enter the list of Japanese dishes that I want to detect: sushi, maki, and etc. And I do not forget to give a name to the entity. For example, Japanese dishes, and click on Create. Then I need to add the entity to my intent by clicking on Add. And I can also create sentences containing this entity, like, I want Japanese dishes. Now I click on Save. I drag and drop a bot says and a bot does and connect them to the tree. The bot does object will allow me to insert specific code and code a response for the bot. I double-click on bot does and I add the following code. As I created a new intent, it is obviously necessary to start a training. I test the bot again. After writing, I want to order a meal and clicking on Japanese food, I reply that I want sushi. The bot replies, perfect, you want to eat sushi. So it understood that I wanted to eat sushi. In the simulator, in the API output part, I can see that it captured the Japanese meals entity and the sushi value. You have now created a bot that integrates simple answers. enriched answers, and even codes. You can also duplicate your bot to another language. You just have to click on Add New Language. Your conversational tree is then duplicated. Only the bot's responses are copied. You will still need to create the intents. If you want to deploy your bot on different channels, you can do it by clicking on Integrations. You can deploy your bot on a website, Facebook Messenger, by SMS, or even Twitter. Let's take a look on how to deploy on a website. Just go to the Web Chat tab. In this tab, you can configure a lot of things like the bot's avatar, the colors of the different elements of the chat window, and many other things. If you want to integrate your bot on a website, you just have to go to the code part. Copy the code here and integrate it on the header of your website. Don't forget to activate the bot for the website channel here by clicking on Launch Web Chat. Your bot will then appear instantly on your website. You can also create a bot from an Excel file. To do this, go to the Datasets module of the solution. Then go to the Q&A tab. First, download the sample Excel file. In this file, you have 5 columns. The first column is the name of the intent. The second column corresponds to the category of intent. This second column is optional. The third column corresponds to the user phrases that the bot needs to understand. The fourth column corresponds to the bot's responses. The fifth column corresponds to the confidence threshold on the intent. We will come back to that later. Once you have created your Excel file, all you have to do is click on Import from File. You select your file and click on Open. You have to start a training session to take the file into account. Once the training is finished, you can now come back to the Builder module to test the sentences that you have added to the bot. I say thank you to him in the simulator. The bot replies, "You're welcome." You are finally able to create a bot on your own. And don't hesitate to subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn more about Smartly. See you soon!